Good morning, YouTube and Facebook and everybody out there. It's Friday. It's June 2nd. I can't believe it's June already.
I know. It
So,
blows my mind.
good morning, Tina. How are you this fine day?
I'm good and crazy as ever.
Yes, but I do feel like maybe Amazon is giving us a break. They seem to dial back the craziness this week. I think they're just still full. None of my cases have been answered from all of last week. What about you? Are you getting any answers there?
Um, I had answers on my cases, but then I got too busy to reply back to them, but they weren't cases that were urgent, or they weren't cases of issues of things I was fighting, anything that was of great importance. So I'll just end up reopening those cases. But, like I said, knock on wood, just like yesterday, because as soon as you say Amazon's been quiet, seems the
I know.
shenanigans are over with. As soon as those words come out of your mouth, if you aren't going to be hit with something. So, you got to be
Yes.
careful what you say.
So I thought, like at the beginning of the show here, we can kind of go through maybe some of the highlights of cases or issues and the problem and solution type of situation.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of them on my mind that I've been dealing with. And I'll start first with re-verification. They accepted my bank statement. Woohoo! I got an email saying your re-verification has been processed and everything is good. It did not go off of my account for a good 24, 48 hours. I still had on the phone, it had the highlighted your account is at risk for deactivation. So you just kind of got to keep submitting and realize that the system is a little chuggy still. And then I was helping this guy out. And this is kind of a funny story. He kept saying, well, here's my EIN letter. It's saying my EIN number doesn't match up. So I went and looked, and my business is set up with my business name and EIN, whereas other people, it's their name and their social security. So it doesn't matter which one you use, whichever one you use for business. But they need to match up. You can't do your name with your EIN, and you can't do your business name with your social security. You kind of got to match them up because that's what they're going to run and check. So the other problem with him, I'm like, okay, he changed his business name and got a different EIN. And he was looking in the top comments or the top issues, if you're having that, is the name's not spelled correctly, capitalizations matter, apostrophes, all of that. And then just, typoing in one of those things. And then we ruled all that out. And there is a number, if you have your EIN paper and it says, if you have questions, call this number. That's the number you got to call, and you got to figure out what the difference is. And his difference was he filed S Corp, not LLC, and he kept trying to do LLC on Amazon. So as soon as he switched it around, got verified right away. So that was good. And then from everybody on the boards, some are getting re-verification notes in the mail, some are not. And I don't see any trending pattern to any of that. Do you have anything to add on re-verification this week?
I do. And one thing that I noticed is that I also had that warning. And it dawned on me later, one thing that I might have done different than others. For me, it was my phone number, but it wasn't my phone number in my US Amazon account, because I also, even though I've shut them down, I'm still, I don't know, it's active for me to at least reactivate my Mexico and Canada Amazon. I went into individually to those global accounts and had to re-verify my phone number there, where they sent me a text message with a code. And after I did that, the next day, my that at risk of deactivation warning went away. And I never thought anything of it until yesterday, that I thought, man, it's been a week. And I thought, you know what? I haven't heard anybody saying that they're also going in to their Mexico or Canada accounts, if they have them, or what other, Amazon accounts they may have, other countries, and putting in that same information there as well. You would think they were all one and the same, but it did send me codes for Canada and Mexico, where it didn't for US, because that one was already verified. So possibly try going into the other platforms.
Yeah, definitely. And I've seen a lot of comments on the phone number, how to correctly input it. If you're in the US, it's +1. And then some people say don't put any dashes or spaces after that. Some are saying do the parentheses on the first area code. Some are all, parentheses and dashboard, and dashes. So keep trying, but it's definitely +1 for the US. If you're in another country, just look up your country code and keep trying until you find the ticket on which one works.
Yeah.
Now, I have a question because you've had issues with when you initiate the call me now on your account, the phone number.
Yes.
Did that get fixed?
It's never been fixed. I've had that problem for over 3 years. I cannot use the Call Me Now feature on any of the computers in my house. It absolutely does not work. I've tried to open cases on it. I've tried to do screen recordings to submit videos, which you can't really submit a video. It does not work, and I've never gotten help. Now, if I open a case the old fashioned way, and put my phone number in there and do it that way, I can request a call. But I cannot click the button that says call me now. It does not work. It has not worked in years.
All of these problems are, if you're finding it difficult to solve such a simple problem, it is a very complex world. I was complaining yesterday, my Chrome browser wanted to be updated, my phone wanted to be updated, and then, we have all these softwares and cache and cookies and crud that all need to be updated or cleared or not cleared. My husband was working with, he was redirecting from a WordPress to a different domain, and that wasn't working. So, we were troubleshooting that, but they're not easy problems, and they're very technical. So if you are lacking your knowledge, ignorant in the technical world, go join some boards and Facebook boards to kind of beef up that knowledge. That's what I've had to do with a lot of things. If I don't know, there's nothing wrong with not knowing, but figure out where your weakness is and where you can get some support. It
Yeah.
helps if you have some friends that make some friends in the areas you're weak in, man. I'm
I
telling
do
you.
want to address this question.
Yep, I was going to get to him after the other one. I wanted to stay on verification just for that other one,
Okay.
Facebook user. They didn't ask me to submit. Were you going to pop it up? Okay.
Oh, I thought you said you wanted to. Okay.
They didn't ask me to submit the bank statement. They said they needed to send me a postcard to verify, and I haven't received it yet. See, it's interesting. Some did not get the bank statement. Some got the postcard. Some got both. I'm sure there's some sort of reasoning behind it, but I have not seen a pattern that says if you have XYZ, you will get XYZ that you'll need to do.
Hmm.
Okay.
And how do you guys address inauthentic customer complaints? This is a very serious complaint. And I will share a story that several years ago, when I had been selling on Amazon only a few years, my account was suspended for customer inauthentic complaints. I didn't address them. Because I didn't know any better, I knew that they weren't, and I let it sit there. And I got a second one before the first one fell off. And just like that, my account was suspended, and it took me 3 months to get it back. Yes, I absolutely address inauthentic customer complaints. I learned the hard way. And you have to address that because they're basically saying they got a counterfeit, they got a fake item. Amazon takes these claims very seriously. So if you do, in fact, get one of these, you need to open a case on that, and you need to submit your invoices, um, your receipts, whatever it is that you have to prove that your item is, in fact, authentic.
Yes, I have a similar story. I did not get suspended, but kind of two things. I had somebody, it was a pair of Adidas joggers that I got at TJ Maxx, Burlington, one of those stores. And the customer said that the material was so thin that they didn't think it was real Adidas or something because of the quality of the material. And there's certain words that the algorithm will flag you for. And
Mhm.
that's something that we teach in a bundle course all day long, that Amazon is one big computer and it's all about words, and it's got to match up. And so there are words that will flag you for deactivation. There are words that will flag you for suspected IPs. And if customer uses certain words, it will get flagged for that. Now, that can be to your advantage or disadvantage. I'll dive into that a little bit later, but if you're getting a complaint, you absolutely have to show that you are either the invoice and or a receipt to prove that it is authentic, or you have to do a plan of action. And the plans of action seem to be getting more and more complicated.
Yeah, they're definitely more complex. And if you don't know how to write a plan of action or have never done so before, I really advise you to hire an attorney or a very skilled appeal writer to do a good plan of action. The first three plan of actions I did, I hired somebody because I tried them on my own and it was kicked back to me. Now I'm a lot better at writing plans of action. Because it's all about the language you use with Amazon. When you are fighting with Amazon, you have to use Amazon language to Amazon. When we write as we are like, well, I bought this at, at this store and it is real and it's not a fake and the customer, they're lying, that's what a lot of people tend to do because I've read many, many clients' appeals of actions and they're coming from a place of emotion and they're writing as if, they were writing me a letter like, look, and this is, I bought it and here's my receipt. And it was from TJ Maxx. And they're doing all the things wrong, thinking that they're just communicating with a person of reason, somebody that you can reason with. And when we're dealing with Amazon, that's not how it works. You have to use correct language. You have to have a correct format and template that you're following. There's a lot more to it than just sending Amazon this letter.
Yes. And I have to say a few other things here. With the inauthentic complaints from customers, they can be triggered if a customer leaves a review, if they leave you feedback, or if they're returning an item and they use language in the return. Why did I return this? I returned it because it's fake, or I returned it because it feels inauthentic. All of those key words that they use in different areas will flag it. Even voice of the customer can sometimes bring up, and if people keep returning or whatnot, you'll start to get dings and actions to address those voice of the customers. One other story, I was super excited when I first discovered Wish. I was like, oh my gosh, this is great. Yeah, no, I'm not, no, bad. I found there was a makeup on Wish, and I don't even remember the brand name of it. And I got it, and I wound up selling one of it. I can't remember if it was Amazon or eBay. It was so long ago. And they said, this is fake. And I didn't get flagged, thank goodness. Sometimes you don't. I don't know how often the algorithm runs, if it's on 24/7 or if it's, what we're not privy to know that. Nobody is. So that's another thing. Like, nobody knows those answers. It's not just me and Tina. It's deep secrets within Amazon. Anyhow, and I'd called my friend and I'm like, yeah, have you ever heard of fake makeup? And she's like, oh yeah, like all of Wish is fake makeup. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know. So I recalled and disposed and fought with Wish, got my money back. But there are videos out there that if you think your product is fake, you can Google, how to tell if XYZ is fake. Just like if you're going to do a bunch of Coach bags, there are websites out there that will tell you how to identify if it's from an outlet or from the Coach store. And the outlet ones are going to be different interior print or whatnot. And you don't want to sell an outlet one on a real one because people that are Coach people are going to know the difference. So
that's right. And these are beginner rookie mistakes that we have all made. Maybe we haven't made all of them, but we've made one of them in some realm because we don't know. And I've done the same thing. I bought off of this website these exercise DVDs years ago. Oh my God, I don't know, 14 years ago, a long time ago. And I thought that they were the real deal and that I had just gotten a really good deal. And I sold them and I was told that they were fake. Luckily, like you, I also didn't get in trouble, but I was like, really? I mean, they looked real. I truly didn't know. And, of course, I always assumed that when you got the Louis Vuitton handbag off the city streets of New York City or at the swap meet, that those were certainly knockoffs. But yeah, I didn't know any better. And we all have made these kind of mistakes. I worked with a client this week who bought something from Walmart, and they were trying to fight a complaint on Amazon because it didn't have that proper, help me out. What's that new barcode? That 3D barcode? That if
2D. The
2D
2D?
barcode. Thank you. My brain is short wiring this morning, and it didn't have that. So they got flagged for it. And as I helped him out, we realized that it wasn't necessarily authentic just because he bought it off of Walmart, because he bought it off of Walmart from a third party seller that was one of those really long, random Chinese seller names. And so he really wasn't buying it truly from Walmart, but a third party seller, which is also a word of caution. When you are sourcing from Walmart, and I made this mistake last year because I didn't catch that it was coming from a third party seller on Walmart. I had bought a toy, and it was a toy I was very familiar with because I've sold it many, many times. And it was a child's mask, like a, like a little toy face mask, and it's very, very hard plastic. What I got sent to me in the mail was this very soft rubber, and I'm like, what the heck is this? And then when I got looking at my Walmart invoice, it in fact was from one of these third party sellers on Walmart. Now, I simply just put in a return for that order. I never tried to send it into Amazon because I knew it was a knockoff, and a bad one at that. So be very, very careful when buying on Walmart or any other website. Even Target now has third party sellers. So just use caution.
I will get to the two comments in just a second. I wanted to say that the that game of switcheroo has really, I feel like either it's being complained about more, or I'm just being more aware of it, or maybe it's kicked up a notch. But that is what a lot of people are doing, is they're finding listings, whether it be on Walmart or Amazon or eBay, and they are saying, oh yeah, I have that. And then they are sending you the cheaper version, and your listing will then get crummy reviews, crummy feedback. They get crummy feedback, but they're pocketing the difference, and they don't care. And they will just set up a new store after they have, sucked that one dry. And so they're going after very high velocity listings, and sending in subpar products that have a better margin for them, and just destroying the listings. And I don't know what Amazon's going to do about it, but I know it's a problem over on the other platforms as well. Jen says, you are right. I finally said I know my rights. And after a whole bunch of emails and attachments, they reimbursed me. I'm going to guess you're talking about Wish. Yeah, Wish is very hard to get refunded. They're just scum. Just scum. And I thought this was an awesome question. So how do you tell what a legitimate supplier is?
That's right. Yeah, and we'll leave this up here. So how do you identify a legitimate wholesale supplier? So I also worked with another client earlier this month who bought items from their supplier. They got hit on Amazon wanting them to verify because the brand came after them. And so they're like, I bought it from a wholesaler, so I don't understand, why they're not accepting my invoice. Well, once I got looking at their invoice, it was a closeout distributor. And so their invoice even said, I don't recall the name of the company, but let's say it was, Tina's closeouts and liquidations. So when you are buying wholesale from companies that are actually closeout companies or liquidation companies, and it usually says so on their website, that is not legitimate wholesale. So when you are buying from legitimate wholesalers, sometimes you can simply ask them, or their website might just say, Tina's wholesale, and that it is in fact wholesale. If you're buying directly from the brand, it may not be wholesale, but you are buying from an authentic distributor. You can find wholesales oftentimes at the trade shows, so that they are a true wholesaler. There are wholesale catalogs out there that I've gotten in the mail. Where else and how else do we know if they're wholesale? Lucy, I'm drawing blanks on that.
Oh, I'm going to share my screen here. One of my favorite websites to kind of go to is Trustpilot. And
Yes.
you'll find this. I type in the store's name. So it could be who'syourwhats.com and then space reviews. And you will be able to go through those reviews and make a decision. So on this one, it's got a really bad rating. You know, we've got a lot of people unhappy. So I go through and I look and I say, okay, we denied money, prioritizing money, customer service is cruddy. Somebody that had a positive, wish I hadn't heard of them, never get the money back, lots of cheap stuff, shocking quality. So when I go through these and I see the words fake, didn't send my product, send poor quality items, customer service was bad, I couldn't get my money back, I'm staying away from them.
Oh, and another way for wholesale. I'm sorry. When you are sourcing from any website, when you go down to the very bottom of the site, a lot of times there is a tab that says, wholesale account, wholesale buying, wholesale info. It'll have the word wholesale in some manner of fashion. You can click on that, and some of the sites that you're shopping on offer wholesale directly from that site. So you will get better about finding wholesale. On my channel, I did make a video of how to find wholesalers through the ASD website. So there is a lot of information out there.
Yeah, and this is something that we work with our VAs about because we want our VAs sourcing from companies, and every once in a while they'll miss one, and we're like, okay, this
Yeah.
is why you missed it. This is how you missed it. Don't source from there anyways. When I was very green and just starting, I did an OA sheet, and this was way back, maybe 2016, 2017, and I had my credit card information stolen twice from crummy websites that I wasn't checking properly. So now after that, you get burned a few times, you do your due diligence
You
on.
start learning.
Mm-hmm.
Aloha, April. I see you there.
Good morning. And Romina, good morning to you. So this is a big question. We got a lot to unpack with this one. So do you want to read it?
Sure. Hi, ladies. I have a question. So I created a bundle and listed it as generic. So I have 3 people now who jumped on it. Am I able to change the brand name once my brand gets approved for my bundle and take them off the listing? No. I'm sorry, you cannot. Once you have created a listing and whatever brand you put it under, it remains that brand. You cannot change a brand. And also, once people are on a listing, you usually cannot change it. After people are off the listing, people have been off of it for a little while, and you are the only one left on the listing, and you are the one that created it, you can update the listing by changing the image or the bullet points, but you can never change the brand. And what I'm curious about, because it's an ongoing problem for people being able to jump on newer listings that were created under the brand generic. So I'd like to know how they got approved to jump on your generic branded listing, because I have fought and won being able to get on some generic branded listings. They're usually older ones. The newer ones, I continue to struggle, and I'm a pretty good fighter with Amazon. So I would love to know who those people are that are on your listing, because I want to go examine their stores.
Well, and that's something that we will crack that code, and once we crack it, that's what we talk about in our bundle group. And I have a few things to add. So, can you change the brand name? 9 times out of 10, no. I have only had success changing the brand name once, and that's because I entered in the brand name and I misspelled it by one letter. So it was like SAN and I put SEN, and I was able to get up to a tier to a supervisor level on the catalog team and explain, and he was able to get it fixed with me. And it was a very pain in the butt thing, and it was nobody else was on the listing, etc. To go from generic to your brand name, no, I don't see any way you could do that. There's just, it's pretty impossible. Now, for changing, I have had a lot of success recently. It used to be that you couldn't change the brand information, the pictures and the bullets and everything. But this last month, I have had success changing pictures, pushing through pictures, and pushing through changes. And I believe I went live and talked about it in our group. If not, I will make a video about it for the bundle group. But I was able to push those changes through, and there was a couple of nuances when doing it and how to do it and what you can get away with doing it. But my goal was to get changes put through to where the end goal is to get it suppressed so that it doesn't sell and it pisses them off. And that's what I'm doing. So my suggestion to you would be to create a new listing, and you can even do it. This is going to get a little complicated. And so if it's super confusing, go Google the how-tos later, but you could create another child with the same thing, just copy the listing, then copy it a third, make that the parent, put the two children's under the parent, destroy the first one. Actually, no, you can't do that with the different brands. Never mind, scratch that. You're just going to have to copy and redo it with the different brands.
Or get more clever with your generic
Yeah.
listings and put some obscure item
Yeah,
in
if you're going to do
with
the obscure
your
item.
bundle. Yes, that makes sense with your bundle. It always wants to be a good product that adds value.
Yeah. So if you're going to do something else with the bundle and you want to keep those reviews, the whole point was to keep the reviews and the traction, the rank and the reviews, to make a second one, put them under one parent, and then get rid of the first child, and the reviews will stick to the second child.
Yeah.
And that's how you can keep the velocity up on your newest thing going on. But in your situation, you may want to just destroy that one and remake it with under your brand. I hope that all makes sense. All right. They are new sellers, it shows, as newly launched. That's ridiculous. How are they doing that?
And if you are in our bundles group, message me or Lucy that ASIN, if you don't mind sharing. If you do mind sharing, I get that. Just because I'm curious to investigate it.
Yeah, we want to check out these people because I have been on seller support 2 or 3 times, and they have said that this is a new thing with generic. And we kind of got the heads up last year when we interviewed the GS1 lady. She said that's what they're doing. They're trying to get rid of generics.
Yeah.
In a general sense, they don't want generic anymore. And so,
if an item is truly generic, you should be able to list it under generic, right? Like, I get that. For it, like, here's a jar that I got at Dollar Tree last year, and it says sand of my favorite beach. And I've never put sand in it yet. But let's say that I wanted to sell this jar, and I got this could truly be branded as generic, or it could be branded as your item. But I would be smarter to add something to go with it that is not found at the Dollar Tree. Maybe I can find from a website some unique seashells to go in there, or some, something that would make sense to go with the sand. That I would end up adding to it later, a little note that I want to put in with it, whatever it is. And I add that item with this. So I make it unique enough that even though it's generic, nobody can jump on my listing because they don't have my cool little item that goes with my cool little jar. Or a gift box, right? A branded gift box that you make that's cute with, some seashells on it, and it would be impossible for them to have it because you designed your box with your branding on it, with your cute seashells, to mail this glass jar in, since you're going to have to box it anyway. And
Morning, Heather.
Good morning.
There's a wealth of information. I joined that group you suggested. She also does travel stuff with tips, and so I love seeing the
travel for free with points. Yes.
Yeah.
I do want to say, as a customer on Amazon, I ordered something from Amazon last week. I believe it was May 25th, I believe was the exact day that I bought it. And this item was going to be next day delivery, and Amazon was the seller. As of yesterday, I still have not received my next day delivery item. And it was one of those that got really weird. So it was right, before the holiday weekend. So I expected that, there might really be a delay. Well, the tracking shows that it arrived somewhere. It was like some undisclosed location, and it said it was being relabeled, and I would get a new updated tracking number, once they did that. And I thought, that's odd. So I never got this updated tracking. I still never got the item. And so I called Amazon yesterday because I couldn't seem to cancel and repurchase through Amazon's platform. And so I ended up having to call Amazon on this item. The lady, went doing her investigating and looking and got back to me. And she said that she would send out a replacement next day delivery. Now, this was yesterday, which was June the 1st. I said, okay, great. And she said, yes, you'll receive it June the 5th. And I said, is it next day delivery? And she said, yes, next day, June 5th. I said, well, the next day is tomorrow. Yes, ma'am. Tomorrow's June 2nd. Yes, you'll be receiving it on the 5th. And I said, are you saying 5 or 2? And she said, 5, ma'am. Okay. Like, I just came up. And you know what's so funny? It arrived last night. I ended up getting it same day. So
it came in last night?
It came last night. So I'm so confused. But I was really concerned about this rep that was working for Amazon that didn't understand the order in which numbers go and what next day means versus 4 days later. But look, some people aren't as good as at math.
I mean, you have 5 fingers. This one shouldn't be that hard.
Mathing can be hard. Look, I struggle with math on a lot of days.
Mathing is
Oh.
So Heather says she bought an item from Alibaba and it was junk. I'm sorry. That is hard. And
well, and if you bought from a gold supplier and it was trade and insured and what have you, you can get your money back. I did make a video sometime last year on how to vet suppliers on Alibaba. But Heather, I know that you know how to purchase from Alibaba, so I'm assuming you've already done that.
Yeah, try to rework it however you can. I'm surprised. I talk to a lot of people that are really wanting to do the Alibaba route, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I talk to them kind of before and then after, and then when they're after, they're like, "Oh my God, problem." But they go in, they're like, "Oh no, this supplier has great stuff. This is really good stuff." And I went, "You may want to, here's some inspectors." And they're like, "For me to inspect the plant?" I'm like, "Yeah, because sometimes what they send you and what they send Amazon are not the same thing." So
right.
There's a lot of shenanigans that goes on with Alibaba. It's a definitely commit to a lot of time researching what you're doing and how to go about it before you start diving in.
Because I'm sure, Lucy, you have worked with a lot of coaching people through Fiverr as well that have bought the thing on Alibaba. They have gotten a listing created. They hired someone to do their listing and they need our help because their item just isn't selling. It's just not moving. And can you help me? And once you go investigating their item, you find that there's a ton of other sellers selling the same exact thing, not only on Amazon, but on eBay. A lot of times for the same price or much cheaper, because guess where they're getting it from? They're all getting it from Alibaba. And not just one factory sells that thing. Lots of factories on Alibaba sell the same thing. You have to be very, very methodical in doing your research through Alibaba and what exactly it is that you are buying. I think Alibaba is great for buying something to go with your bundles or something that you're going to, pair with something else. But as a standalone, I'm very cautious of just sourcing something from Alibaba as it is.
I also tell people who message me, because I'll get a lot of messages on Fiverr, can you find me a product that's going to make me $5,000 a month? Okay, I am not going to promise any of that. And if you are looking for that on Fiverr, there's a lot of people that will say yes, and they're selling that same idea to you and 16 other people. And be cautious on that, because then I get the people on the flip side. They're like, I bought this item and I bought 800 units because that was what this other person told me to do. And I bought this course and it looked really good 3 months ago. Yeah. And 3 months ago, it was a great idea. Now you can't find that person on Fiverr anymore. And they've sold that idea to a whole bunch. And now they've just reinvented themselves and are a different person on Fiverr. So don't ever think that somebody's going to give you the moon, because you got to ask yourself, if they could do it, why are they selling you the idea? If I could find something that's going to make me $5,000 a month, why am I going to sell you the idea for $100? Yeah. Ask yourself that question. I have used India and Vietnam. I guess that's why we watched this great, well, in terms of documentaries go, on the changes between sourcing and where factories are being made and the move of factories out of China into the other Asian countries over there. And it was really good. I think it was on YouTube, but they said since the 2018, I think it was 2018 when the new port tax went in for China for an extra 25%, all the companies started just moving the manufacturing out to different locations, and some of the pros and cons to those different locations from, what kind of people work there, working conditions. What do you call it when you treat people bad? What is that called? It's called something. The humanitarian?
Inhumane treatment of people.
Maybe it's something with humanitarian aspects of their lives and whatnot. It was really interesting. It's good to know where your stuff comes from. A lot of people think that they're not going to buy from Amazon because they don't like the way Amazon operates, and they're going to go to Walmart or vice versa. All your stuff comes from other countries, honey. It doesn't matter. There's
Yeah.
very little made in America, and you have to be very specific. Even if you get made in America, a lot of times the source product is from those other countries. So you're not.
Yeah, and Heather, I did make a video on my YouTube channel about sourcing from Alibaba and what to look for. Um, Through Alibaba, I had hired, oh, gosh, maybe 5 years ago, a coach to teach me how to do private label and how to correctly source from Alibaba. It was just like a one-on-one coach. And I pass on the best tips I learned from her on how to source Alibaba and what to look for to protect yourself. I know it's too late now, and at least $125 won't, cause you to go broke. But moving forward, if you ever want to source from there again, the video I hope is helpful.
All right, hold on. I'm looking up links for the next comment there, and I'll have them up in a minute. Did you ever hear because my information might be dated, but when I was looking into Alibaba, they told me to have a very separate email account for anything you're dealing with Alibaba, because they sell your information and they'll sell your email, and all of a sudden you'll start getting all sorts of spam and crud like that. Did you
I
do you
have not really, because when I first went on to Alibaba, I hadn't been told that, and
Mhm.
the email I was using then is an email I still have now. Now, at the time when I was reaching out to those vendors, sure, those particular suppliers were spamming me, or Alibaba let me know because they can leave messages. Sorry, I keep touching my hair because I'm growing my bangs out and they're driving me crazy. Um, so you will get a lot of messages within your Alibaba account, and that email is sent to you that such and such supplier is reaching out to you, but it's more there. Um, then once I made my purchase and your activity is not great on Alibaba, some of those emails went down. But no, I never really got spammed with tons of emails. But it's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea to have your own account just for an Alibaba uh, allocated email account. It's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I like to keep kind of my bank account or my email accounts separate with what I'm
Yeah.
dealing with.
And I
Um,
have 5 email accounts, so I get it. And sometimes it gets overwhelming, like, crap, what email did I use? Because sometimes
yeah.
I forget, if I'm just being quick about it. Yeah.
All right. So, Foab, good question. Bank verification. You're with Payability. Have you heard feedback with Payability? Emailed them about documents. Um, I have heard Payability is fine. Same with Lindustry, TransferWise, Wise. I can't remember all the international banks, but on Payability's site, it says they do work with it. I was trying to find some other things. There is some specific forum. If you go to what is the one that I tout with Ed Rosenberg, ASGTGA I'll bring up that one, and if you go search them and or Hustle Buddies on Facebook, you will find blurbs about payability specifically. I've seen it posted. I didn't retain the information because it went right in.
Because there's so much information out there. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm like, okay, don't need to. I can't retain everything, guys. I can't retain everything I need to retain, let alone all that other stuff. But I will find the group here in just a second.
Yeah, sometimes I forget what I had for dinner.
Mhm. Exactly. It's this one right here. Amazon seller performance suspensions, rights owner, legal issues, ASGTG. That's the group you want to join. And then you just go search, and you're going to search payability, and it will come up with things. Payability account. You might need to, you're going to have to go and do this, but do it for that group and Hustle Buddies. Hustle Buddies is an awesome group. They have a lot of good feedback, good people in that group.
Jen says, I'm a member of the bundle group. Best choice I've made in my business. The nuggets and support is top notch. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you,
That was
Jen.
nice. I'm glad you like it.
Very nice. Very nice. Not ever had an issue. I sourced a lot when doing private label. Okay. Cool. All right. I had a couple other questions on the YouTube channel. We'll go, but this is kind of if you have questions, ask them so we can answer them here. Thank you, April. Any idea for suppliers that I could use to get ungated in pet and also baby? Kohl's.com. Do you have any other ideas?
I think, well, yeah, we've talked about that so many times on lots of our YouTube shows. We've discussed that very topic. But yes, that is definitely a simple one, and everybody has a Kohl's, and you can go online.
Yeah, go online and buy a pet bed from Kohl's. I mean,
you need 10 pet beds. 10, whatever you're doing, buy 10 of it. Mm-hmm.
My doggy needs a new pet bed. I should. I got ungated with wholesale animal supply store, and then they found out that I was an Amazon seller. So, I mean, you could try and just not say you're an Amazon seller, but that's who I got ungated with, and that was, gosh, like 4 or 5 years ago. So it may not work anymore. I don't know if Chewy and or Petco would be appropriate. I've never heard of anybody doing those two. And then for baby, I'm trying to think who else for baby would be a good one. All right, moving on. We've got a couple comments. Thank you, ladies. Somebody said I got ungated in pets with Walmart. That's crazy.
That's great.
All right, we already addressed that. I received an IP complaint from a product that I bought from Sam's Club, Kinder Seasoning. I jumped onto a listing that was a bundle of 2. Now they are saying that my products are counterfeit because it doesn't come with a magnet that they made and added to the listing. Is there anything I can do or just delete the listing and response to Amazon? So a couple of things here. If you notice that it's somebody else's private label listing, don't jump on it. It's a private label listing. Look at the brand name. If the brand name is not Kinder, then it's a private label listing.
And it still comes out because you can bundle branded items with your own private label items. So sometimes we overlook that, and possibly they overlooked that because I got hit by doing the same thing when I've told that story where I jumped on a coffee listing that I didn't realize that they had a branded box and it wasn't in their main image. So honestly, the listing, the brand that was creating their listing did a bad job because they hid that part of their listing and I didn't catch it. We all do make those innocent mistakes as well.
Yes. And the other thing you can do is politely email the other person and apologize and ask them for a retraction. And typically, like Tina and I, if you messaged us, we're pretty nice and we would retract and be just fine with that because most people are genuinely nice people. I have to believe that in life. Like you have to You have to come into this world and either think the best of people or think the worst, and I choose to think the best of people. So politely say, I am so sorry. I did not mean to jump on here. I have recalled and closed the listing and will not
Yeah.
sell it. Would you
I
prefer?
overlooked that you had a magnet in it or, whatever their thing was, and I don't intend to sell on your listing again. You know, the majority of the other sellers are people just like all of us, and they'll say, "Okay, well, thank you." And
Yeah. And on the flip side, for those that are making bundles, try to make them in a way where you don't get into this situation in the beginning. I want people to look at my bundles and be like, that's a private label bundle. I'm not selling on it. I don't want to
Mhm.
play little games on, oh, is it private? Oh, is it not private? No, I want it to be very apparent with it.
Mm.
Let's see here. Happened to me, and I've been selling for almost a year. I
Mm.
was a losing. It was a losing with a branded box. Oh, they jumped onto a listing with a branded
Mm.
box.
Yeah, I've done that before too. And when the person who makes the listing, if they're taking just a regular item that we can get from anywhere, I just bought some of this for my cleaning my computer. Okay, so let's say I decided that I'm going to sell this with a magnet, which you would never do that. But let's just say I was. And my main image only shows this and doesn't show the magnet with it or the branded box with it, whatever the item is that I'm putting with this. And then I have my second image that shows the back or that just shows a single can or in use. And then my very last image, which nobody's really going to be looking at, shows my item that my branded box. That's not fair to, first off, you're going to have everybody jumping on your listing because you had this as your main image and we can all get this. So it's just like, don't be dumb, when you're making your listing, because now you're going to constantly be filing complaints against people if you're brand registered for jumping on your listing because you made it look like anybody can just be on that listing. So it's like, do your due diligence to, if it's coming with something custom, put that in your main image. You'll save yourself a lot of headache from going after people jumping on your listing, right?
Yep.
And you'll save all the sellers that end up accidentally jumping on it, that the headache of thinking like, oh my gosh, I didn't even notice that, because you didn't make your main image correct. Most of us don't look through every single image when we're sourcing. We go, oh, yeah, yeah, that's a match. Most of us do not click every single box.
Right. And your bundles need to be something that's adding something to the value for the customers in some way. So take
That's
those two
right.
dusters and put a cheap duster that you can get private label. You can get a duster from Alibaba, from a bunch of
Yeah, the
different
little
places.
handheld duster
Yeah.
with the little fuzzy things at the
Something
end.
that goes
And
with it, and then people are going to see that, and you in your main image you'd have all three items. In your
that's
title
right.
you have all three items. In your bullet
Yeah.
you have all three items.
Yeah, so it's very clear that it comes with this other thing. And
Mhm.
so that's why there's a lot of people out there making what I call a real shady listing. And they're not including that in their title. They might in their final little bullet point because they think they're being obscure, hiding things. And it's just bad practice.
Right. Yeah. I see that a lot of times with a
Hmm.
random thank you card. Okay, that is a way to do a bundle. And
Yeah.
I will I kind of want to dive into this just a hair deeper on
Yeah.
the flip side. With the issuing IP complaints, if you are a brand new to brand registry and whatnot, you cannot issue the IP complaints until your trademark goes all the way through, which is irritating, but that is how it is. You can report violations, but they're very hard to win until you get that trademark to go through. So what on the counter side people are doing is they're sabotaging other people's listings and whatnot because they see that they are fairly new to the private label game. You can go and look and see when their trademark was filed and then
Hmm.
jump on their listing, sabotage their listing, do a lot of shady stuff. And this is the back end of Amazon, and it happens. I mean, it's crappy. I don't have a better word for it, and I don't care for those people. One of the big ones is on private label Alibaba stuff. You've gone, you sourced, you put it under your label. Well, they just go to the same manufacturer, order it, and jump on your listing because they know you can't really do much about it. And that's
Yeah.
boils my blood.
Yeah, and Sherry says what's really irritating though is if you have a branded listing with an extra item and somebody jumps on and you tell them and they still don't get off. Amen, Sherry.
Yep.
It doesn't happen all the time, thank goodness. I experienced that recently on a listing and I messaged the person and they're like, oh, yeah, I looked at that and I see that you're right. Well, after I sell out of mine, I'll get off your listing. No, because you're selling the incorrect thing. And then I'm getting bad feedback on my listing. I had a 5-star listing that now was getting 1-star reviews because it didn't come with that extra item. Because my extra item, which was really my private label item that I added to it, is why people were buying the bundle listing. So sometimes when we add our item of extra value, like let's say it's this jar with some of the seashells, the customers were mad that they didn't get their seashells because that's what they really, really wanted. So sometimes, even though this was the item that I got, it's my little extras that I add to my items that the customers really want. And so it's like, and Amazon sellers like them, it ticks me off. And then I want to go looking through their store, like, what can I jump on of theirs? I don't do it, but in that moment, I'm mad and I'm looking through their store and I'm like, I'm gonna, because it
See, and
makes
I've
you
had
feel
to
good. It
this,
just makes you feel good to do that.
and Tina and I, we speak from experience, and so
Yeah.
that's the good and the bad of it. So I have several listings that people jumped on, and I just wound up recreating, making it better, and then destroying the other ones in ways of, I'm okay, you're going to jump on my stuff, I'm going to kill it, and you have 300 in stock. Good luck, buddy. And
Yeah.
because I'm back and forth and they wouldn't get off. And then with
Yeah.
Amazon, this is a story that I'm kind of going through. Every time I called Amazon and I said, this person is selling the item and they're not including everything, I'm brand registered. What can I do? And they said, go through and do this type of complaint, do this type of policy warning. And I did about 3 of them, each time on the phone with Amazon customer support, them telling me what to do, include these pictures, include your test buy report. And now I've been flagged as being abusive. I'm being abusive, Miss Tina. And now I had to write a POA this week on how I'm not going to be abusive. And I'm like, you want real abuse? I come and I'll real
I know.
abuse.
And isn't that frustrating? It's like it's your brand.
Yeah.
You are
They're like,
brand registered. They are jumping on your listing. So
mhm,
you are trying to report it. And
yeah,
you're the abusive one.
I'm the
Yeah. And
abuser.
see, this is
And they
the
were like,
stuff with
what's,
Amazon. Yeah. That's
they said,
just,
what's the root cause? Customer support.
yeah.
I listened to
Root
you.
cause is you. Yeah.
Facebook user, how do you destroy the listing? Well, I get the pictures changed, which creates, if you need to know how to destroy the listing, we'll do a whole video on this in the bundle group.
Yeah. In the
There's
bundles
ways to
group, we'll
push through
definitely
the
share
picture,
that.
but you have to work with the algorithm. The algorithm does look at pictures, and it's crazy what AI can do. AI can recognize stuff. It's a little futuristic here. And then you can also flat file push things. You can do things with your inventory loader, but basically you are trying to get it to go into suppression, and you are trying to change it to where the customer doesn't want to purchase it anymore. So
That's right.
if you can get it to change from a 3-pack to an 8-pack, all of a sudden people are going to get the wrong thing. They're going to, they're going to do some crazy negative reviews. I ordered 8, I only got 3. Lots of returns, and just
And this
really
is what
messed them
people
up.
do when you fill out a loss of people that keep jumping on your private listing bundle that has your unique item and you're just fed up to hear.
Yeah.
I
I
never
don't,
used to do stuff like that, but in my older selling age on Amazon, the more I get really perturbed by that because I respect other listings. I respect other bundles. I respect that they put in the hard work, the research and the time to create that. Um, it's like if you
absolutely.
go to somebody's house, right? And they took the time to clean up their guest room and the guest bathroom for you to use and wash the sheets and made everything nice for you. Are you going to go to their house and then when you leave that room a mess, leave the wet towels on the floor, leave, you want to respect people's space. And I feel that way on Amazon. I respect that listing that person made. And you know, I'm
Absolutely.
crabbier with that stuff.
Well, and it's stealing. I mean, when I get a listing up, I am putting a lot of work into
That's right.
sourcing, keywords, getting the velocity up, and that's my work. And when you come in and you steal my item, you steal my listing, you undercut me by $5, you don't even share the buy box with me.
Yes. Oh,
And,
yeah.
and
Yeah, they
then
jump on
you
it
do
and
that, it's like
really have it low. Mhm.
you're stealing food off the table that I feed my kids with. That's how I see it. And I'm very big into karma. So I am just, okay, you want to play that way? I'm going to do my listing better. I'm going to better myself, do it better.
Mhm.
And I'm going to make it so that you can't use my work anymore, period.
Yeah.
And
And the
that's
reason
how I,
why most sellers want to do this, right? The reason why most of us want to create our own listings or, our own bundles or come up with our own private label brands if it's a single item and go through the process of getting the lawyer and getting brand registered. The reason why we do this is because we all started out with RA and OA and we've been on listings that tank because everybody ends up getting on it. They undercut each other, and then we're all losing money and nobody's making money anymore. And we get fed up with that, especially when we are trying to do Amazon as a real business, as a way to get to stay home with our children, as a way to maybe work part time, leave our jobs, make extra side hustle money, whatever your reason is. And you get frustrated with that because this is not a winning business strategy. So therefore, you get creative and you decide, I'm going to pay a lawyer, I'm going to get my own brand, I'm going to come up with my own item, I'm going to sell it, I'm going to make my own custom bundles. So I do not have to share it with everybody else. So I own the listing. I'm the only seller. I get every sale because I can then dictate that I'm going to make profit and not lose money. So there's my rant.
all right, we got to wrap it up here at 9, but we got 2 things came in. Sometimes I wish the listings would have a message board so we could talk to the rest of the sellers. Absolutely, because I'd be like, what the hell are you doing? You just dropped the price $5. We were all at 35 and now you're down at 28. What are we doing? But
Yes. Then we
I mean,
need price colluding though.
on the flip side though, I've had to get rid of things like, oh shoot, I just got an IP complaint, soft IP complaint, and I want to sell out, so I'm going to liquidate really quick and get my money's worth. So I've been on both sides, but it would be interesting to see what everybody else is doing. April says, if we get brand registered, when someone tries to list on our ASIN, do they automatically get denied? No, you can get approved to list on other people's private label stuff fairly easy. And you are in the group, so we're going to be doing more and more of this. If you caught my live earlier, I think it was last Friday, last Thursday, I went live. Kind of go back and watch that one. I basically tell you how you can get approved for just about anything, which is really some amazing. We've had some really good breakthroughs in the last couple of weeks with that. And then Brown Girl says, have you ever successfully won an expiration date complaint? Yes. How so? God, it was years ago, and I had to do a POA and show the invoice and explain how we go through steps to do expiration dates and how it is. And I think it was one of those that it was where you open it and you get 6 months or something. You know how when you open up your mascara, you
Yeah.
get 6 months to use it. So I had
Yeah.
to explain in the plan of action that we have a rigorous way we check things. We check it when we purchase it. We check it when it's getting packed. We check it when it goes into the box. We have a 3-step points, 3-step
Yeah.
system. And you'll go to, again, those 2 Facebook sites that I have and type in POA expiration complaint and see what
Mhm.
comes up, because some people do share, if not their plans of actions, at least their drafts of plans of actions, and then
Yeah.
other people will comment and say, you're missing this, you're missing that, you're missing that. I love taking those things, and like I have a whole thing on my Google Drive over here, the Google Cloud out there. I have a whole bunch of plans of actions that if I see a good one or if I see good comments, I go and I scroll them away there for these types of situations. Then I have kind of a nice database to go and pull from. But you can just go to Facebook, type in those, and get a good foundation of where to start. Then go to ChatGPT and say, I want you to pretend you're a lawyer and write me a plan of action for blah, 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 blah. That's the new thing I'm learning. I'm absolutely loving all the ChatGPT crud coming out. It is going to be amazing.
I do too. I love playing with it. There are definitely pros and cons, and you've got to be careful with how you use AI. You want to be very careful because you want to be part of not adding to the bad parts of AI that are out there. And that's a topic for another day. So, and
Oh,
with
how do you
that,
deal? Oh, well, hold on one second. How do you deal with a situation that we get an IP complaint from an anonymous seller or a generic product? There is
mm,
POAs that explain how to report that an email is fake, a seller is fake, and how to fight it that way. So,
yeah.
uh, if you're in our groups or whatnot, message me later and I'll see if I can dig something up for you. But we got to go. We're on a tight schedule this Friday, but thank you everybody for joining us.
Yeah,
As
thank you so
always.
much. Have a great weekend and happy June.
Yes. Yes. And you can post your questions in the online with selling Facebook group and we will you get answers there too. And everybody in the group is really nice too. So, then you're pulling from not just our two brains, you're pulling from many brains, which is
That's right. All right, guys, talk to you later.
bye. Take care.